Welcome back to Psych Hacks. Today we're starting off with a quote from James Clear, of course. We have to. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. It's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I'm the type of person who is this. Now, the title of this video is Justification, and I'm going to give you the definition right now, but we're still going to go into it. Justification is proving to yourself you can be successful by taking action. The more actions you complete successfully, the more momentum you gain. And the whole goal in justification is to purposefully spoon feed yourself somewhat easy tasks at the beginning so that you can have an opportunity to feel victory about these tasks and build momentum. This is the part where you reinforce the feeling of success in your subconscious, and we're justifying that brand new identity we made last video. So we're going to hit another quote. It's every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs, but as the votes build up, so does the evidence of your new identity. Right. So the problem with justification is that it happens after you do the actions that you say you're going to do. So we don't have any justification right now. So we're still operating in our old mental model, trying to do new actions, and that's going to cause problems. So we're going to take a bit of a analogy, I suppose, that I got from my favorite YouTuber, Hamza, when I was watching this video 3 years ago. He really inspired me when he said that many people spend their whole lives trying to build a video game character. They're trying to level up their character and do more and more so that their character can be strong. He says, why not do that in real life? You can make it a game as well. And you're not going to be starting off in real life fighting lions and tigers and bears and dragons like that. You're going to be starting off like you would in a video game, doing something like killing chickens or, I don't know, smaller, weaker enemies. And the reason that the game gives that to you at the beginning is because you got nothing. You're figuring out the controls right now. This is your tutorial phase. So you're going to give yourself a tutorial phase where you can take action. So imagine each chicken you kill is like 5 taking action points, and those are the points that you get for the day. So it's very important that you work your way up. You do want to do this because say you used to be doing well. Say you used to have old habits that you were doing well at that you fell off. Jumping right back into that is not going to be healthy for you, and it's unlikely it's going to last. I know that you feel like you should because you did do that at one point, but it's like when you were maybe say you did that with the gym. Maybe you were going to the gym consistently and you stopped. Once you go back, you're not going to be able to do the same weight that you could do before, and it'd be dangerous to try. If you've never had old habits to jump back into, then don't go online and look up some sort of top G alpha male like morning routine video and do that either. That's still doing the hard thing. Like that's doing more than you're able to do long term, right? So the goal is we're going to take action so that we can have small victories. Small victories and victory in general is good for your mental health, and mental health increases your productivity. Now, Dr. Jordan Peterson is a neurological professor at Harvard, and I'm going to give you a quote from his book, 12 Rules for Life. He says the first step to making positive change is doing something manageable like cleaning your room. That's not a quote, actually. That's just something he said. But he said that to start organizing your mind, it's not a direct quote, okay? You must do something concrete like organizing your room. Not only are you organizing your objective world, but your space is an extension of who you are. If you feel like you have a bunch of tabs open in your brain, that's the same thing by having I'm not looking at my room. It's a disaster. But that's somewhere to start. So if you need to do that, you can do that. You don't have to do that. But for your actionable step for this video, I want you to go into your notes app and pick one task that you can do that will last you I don't know. I'd say put a time frame on it. So do like 5 days. It's important to have a time frame because if it's do this habit until infinity, I don't know. For some reason, like it just feels better when you can say I did 100% or I did 80% of what I told myself I was going to do this week. So I would start Monday and end Friday or whatever you can do. If it's Wednesday, do 3 days. I wouldn't do it over the weekend because it's going to be hard to be consistent. Weekends are, I don't know. Anyways, you can do that. And I would say make it a specific action as well. So if you did do, I'm going to clean my room, I'm going to keep my room clean, then you would say something more specific, like I'm going to keep all of the clothes off of the floor. I'm going to keep my floor clean. My desk and everything in my bed doesn't have to be perfectly organized. I don't need to make my bed every single time, but I'm going to keep my clothes off the floor, and I'm going to do this Monday to Friday, and it ends at Friday at midnight. Boom. That's a goal. That's a SMART goal, which is time-bound, attainable, relevant. It's something you can do. We're going to talk about SMART goals later, but for now, just try to do this one, and we'll get more into how to build habits that stick later on. Again, if you want to look at how to build habits that stick, go to video 13. So we could do this, and we're going to make it achievable, and we're going to try to get as many successes as possible. By doing something and checking it off as a success, you can have victory on day one. Each small win reinforces the belief that you are someone who follows through. Obviously, we're going to ignore the fact that these tasks are laughably easy. We're going to do them and we're going to celebrate them. And you know why? We need to celebrate and to create positive self-talk in order to change the direction of our identity. That's important. Also, let me tell you that something I found out recently that I've never done well, but apparently if you speak to yourself in a certain way, that determines up to 90% of the way you perceive life. So your life, if you say, my life is good, 90% of the time, it's probably going to be that you experience life that way. If you have negative mental self-talk, you are going to have a negative experience of life. I feel like that's general advice, I suppose, but it does work specifically for this one. And I want to say that momentum over perfection is always key. Creating momentum is so important. It's like dominoes. Doing the first task is always the hardest. That's why I was reading this to my mom, by the way. Shout out my mom. She's so helpful. So she was reading this to me and she said, do you know the hardest weight at the gym? And I was like, no. And she said, it's the front door, which is exactly right. It's like static friction versus rolling friction. When you try to push an object, it's hardest to get it going, but after that, it's easier. So that's important because when you use that and apply it, you can pick tasks, make them easier than you think they should be, assume that you can do it, and then do it. When you do that, you can get a little spark of energy from that victory that can chain to create other things. Think of it like when you get into a cleaning mode. So when you have a room and it's messy and you're like, I'm just going to clean up for 5 minutes. You pick up one thing, you pick up another thing, you take the dishes to the kitchen, you put the trash in the trash, then you take the trash out, then you come back. And like before you know it, it's been 12 minutes instead of 5 minutes, but you cleaned your whole room and you're like, why didn't I do that earlier in the week? It's been stressing me out. It didn't take that much time and it wasn't that hard. That's because when we imagine doing hard things in our head, it's always worse mentally than the pain of actually just doing the habit. So, quote for the day is just do it, Nike. Anyways, the pain of doing something is always greater in your mind than actually doing it. You can write that down. It's like static friction versus rolling friction, which I've already said. So the next and last thing that we're going to talk about for this video is ruling out a reliance on motivation. If you're in a rut, you cannot just push yourself out of that rut through motivation because motivation is a limited resource and it's overrated. It's overhyped. Everyone talks about not having motivation to go to the gym, not whatever. And then they say that instead of having motivation, you should have discipline. And then we're like, how do we build discipline? It gets this whole issue. So we're ruling out motivation and we're going to compare it to riding a bike. So imagine you're riding a bike and you've ridden it down into your ditch on the side of the road. Now, this ditch is a big ditch and it's got steep walls, kind of like this. So imagine you take your bike and you try to ride straight up the side of the wall. It's not going to work. You have to think about it where you ride your bike more slowly but diagonally up the side of the bank until you get to the top. We're going to ignore the fact that you should probably just pick up your bike and walk because it's an example. But that is essentially motivation right there for you. It's not going to work if you just try to muscle through it and just push yourself. You need to go one step at a time. So limited resource, conserve your energy. By all means, use motivation that you get at the beginning of doing something because it's always going to be higher. Use that to set up the systems that are going to hold you in place when you might have a bad day later on. And remember to be kind to yourself. Anyways, thanks for watching. That was the end of chapter 3, Justification. And that is the end of part 1. Next up, we have part 2, which I have titled The Cleansing. And it's not any fun at all. So I hope you'll be there for that. I will see you in the next video.